Well, good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here. This is my 12th year at Mackinac. It's my last year, and it's a little bit bittersweet, but I'm delighted to be with you today to talk a little bit about innovation and entrepreneurship and how universities are responding. The state of Michigan, in the early part of the 20th century, was a hotbed of creativity. It was a place where, there we go. Whoop, I'm going to go back here. It was a place where new ideas were generated. There were absolute innovation going on in the auto industry, and it was a wonderful time in the state of Michigan. But somehow, throughout the 20th century, we became too complacent. We sort of lost our groove, and we weren't innovating so much, and we weren't so creative. So when the economic crisis hit, and it really hit us hard in the state of Michigan, harder than almost any other state, we were really at a stage where we had to either think about what we were doing and get ready and do something really different, or it was not going to be a good outcome for any of us. So what did we do? What did we do in higher education? So let me tell you what my mantra was when I started back at the University of Michigan in 2002, and when it became pretty apparent by about 2005 or 2006 that we were really in for a very, very difficult time, is I took on the notion that we needed to partner or we were going to perish, that we had to get out of our silos, that we had to do something completely different, that we had to look outside ourselves, that we had to find a way to be more permeable to the outside world, to get new ideas in. So one of the things, the early things that we did with my colleagues at Michigan State University and at Wayne State University, we created something called the University Research Corridor. Because what we wanted to do is to get not only ourselves to think about how to partner with our other research universities in the state, but what we wanted to do was to let ourselves know what the economic impact of the work that we were doing, and we wanted to see how we could leverage that work to help the state and to help do things that would help our state get back on track. So we committed ourselves every single year to do a rigorous economic impact study to see what the combined impact of these three universities was. We've done it every single year, and the last year it's $16.6 billion. It's a huge impact on the state. We bring in research dollars, we bring in people, we bring in really to create this energy that helps our state so much. The next thing we had to do is really to look internally and say, what were the barriers? We were so closed in, we were isolated, we were the ivory tower. We had to break down the ivory tower and really think about how we could forge better university business partnerships. Well, one of the problems at the university was nobody knew quite how to interact with us because we're a big, complicated place. So what we did was to create a one-stop shop, a business engagement center, where it was put on the edge of the university campus. There's lots of free parking there. People can go in and really get access to us. And we could help businesses use the facilities that we have that are very expensive, that they couldn't afford. And we could really help small businesses and large businesses so that today our Business Engagement Center helps to interact with 350 businesses annually, small, medium, large. We're also fielding inquiries from 200 additional businesses yearly. So we've really opened up the walls and let people see what they can do with the university. The next thing we had to do was to make it easier for faculty to bring their research results to the fore and help commercialize them. So as part of the Business Engagement Center, we brought in the tech transfer activity. We made it easier. We reduced the legal barriers. And so now, by the end of the decade, we've had over 3,500 invention reports, 107 faculty startups, over 1,500 patent applications. So it's really been an amazing, amazing opening up of the university. The last thing that happened, and this was not a happy thing, that is when Pfizer decided that it was going to leave Ann Arbor. It was a pretty dramatic thing, and it happened back in 2007, and we were not quite prepared for it. So when Pfizer left, we had an empty campus there. And so one of the things that we decided to do after a couple of years of waiting to see if somebody else would buy it is that we decided to purchase it ourselves. We renamed it the North Campus Research Complex. And so what we have done with that particular space is now we've taken it, as we call, from vacant to vibrant. There are more than 2,000 people 5 years later working at the North Campus Research Complex. We've been able to put our Business Engagement Center there. We've been able to bring research groups there. We've been able to do so many things that really do help us respond to the needs of the state. We have a huge health services research center there where we're trying to do the kind of research that will help us as a nation with healthcare reform. But it's been a very, very exciting time. And it's really caused this innovation and entrepreneurial activity all across the university because we were faced with a pretty dire time. So how did students respond? This is one of the most exciting things that I've discovered, is that back about 7 or 8 years ago, I think as the students saw what was happening within the university and we were really changing, and they knew that the outside world was going to be very different, and they were going to have entrepreneurial skills if they were going to survive in this particular environment with their careers. And so they started really pushing us to help them, teach them more entrepreneurial skills. And that's been one of the most exciting things of my last few years at the university, is to see what students have done. They've pushed us to offer more courses. They've pushed us to offer an accelerator for their businesses. They want to have business competitions. They're always doing these kinds of activities that really bode very well for the future and for the students' success. So we now have 1 in every 7 students that participate in some kind of entrepreneurial activity on campus. We have a business competition called 1,000 Pitches, and this was started by the students. And it's been so successful, they run it every year, that this last year we had 5,300 unique student business ideas out of the competition. 15 student groups are dedicated to entrepreneurship. We've got 64 graduate courses, we've got 37 undergraduate courses, and more than 2,000 students are enrolled. These young people are ready, they're excited, they're engaged in the future, and they are going to be the great promise that Michigan has to win in the 21st century and to become that great state again that it was. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll see how wonderful that these students will be. Recruit them to stay in Michigan because they're really going to help us get our groove back. Thank you very much.